This is the Emergency Medical Minute, sponsored by Health One. So, if you've been watching the news, you know that there's a squirrel in Morrison that's been diagnosed with the plague. Okay, great. So I thought I'd do a medical minute on the plague. Okay, so the plague was known by a little bacteria called Yersinia Pestis. Yersinia is the name of the guy who basically discovered it, Alexander Yersin. Discovered it during the third bubonic, the third plague, which was there's a plague of Neanderthals, there's a plague in the 1300s that killed 1/3 of all Europeans, right? So it was like really, really bad. And there's another plague in the 1800s in China that killed, I think, between 10 and 20 million people, and that's when it was actually discovered. They saw the little bacteria that causes it. So Yersinia is the first one. Pestis. So pestis from the kind of root phrase pestilence, right? Which basically means plague or like epidemic. So that's kind of the root of the term. There are three types of plague. So the first one is the most common one. Do you know what that is? What's kind of plague famous for giving you that not a lot of other infections give you? It gives you really, really nasty swollen lymph nodes, right? So that's Bulbonic Plague. And bulbo is kind of the fact that you get these huge lymph nodes. Bulbo in Greek actually means groin, and groin lymphadenopathy, axillary, olecranon lymphadenopathy is one of the things you sometimes get. And that's the majority of plague. You feel like crap for a while, you get fevers, you get myalgias, and then you get these bulbos that kind of let you know, oh, wow, this person might actually have plague. The second type of plague is actually septicemic plague, which is you don't get bulbos, you just get terrible sepsis. It's really famous for causing DIC, and this is why if you've ever heard the plague called Black Death, it's because a lot of people get actually like limb necrosis and like fingers that turn black. It's all from like DIC that moniker comes from. And then the final one, which is the most dangerous type of plague, is a pneumonic plague, where it actually causes a really bad pneumonia. On your chest x-ray, the thing that's distinguishing about that, at least traditionally or textbook wise, is you get really big lymph nodes. So people get like this x-ray with this bad mediastinal lymphadenopathy along with the pneumonia, and that's kind of the hint that you get that the person might have plague. The other things that kind of can tee you into this, because we diagnose plague very rarely, right? I've never diagnosed it, but would be like exposure to, let's say, people petting squirrels. Hey, maybe that's a hint, right? It's carried in squirrels. Prairie dogs are actually a big reservoir for plague in the United States. So if people are playing with a prairie dog and get bit, etc., those are kind of hints that they might have it. Most plague is not spread by bites of animals, though. What's it spread by? Not mosquitoes. Fleas, exactly, fleas. So that's very interesting. Kind of what Yersinia pestis does is creates this microfilm inside of like the belly of fleas. And what happens is the flea tries to eat your blood, and the microfilm like causes it to like not be able to digest it. So it vomits it into your blood. So it vomits Yersinia pestis into your blood. It's very treatable with both doxy and ciprofloxacin. So yay, plague.
Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Bradley, anesthesiologist and U.S. Naval officer. I'm also the host and creator of the Black Doctors podcast. This podcast provides weekly 30-minute episodes that tell the stories of minority healthcare professionals. It is my hope that hearing these unique and inspiring stories will encourage others to consider pursuing these challenging and rewarding career paths. So please join me for the Black Doctors podcast. Available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and all major streaming platforms.